Welcome to the Happiness Alchemy podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Goody. Stay with me for expansion, activation, and awareness on your spiritual journey through life and business. Today, I'm joined by my magical and multi-talented soul sister, Emily Ahrens. Emily is an intuitive healer and psychic business coach. She supports her clients on their healing journey by clearing and releasing blocks from their energy system, as well as from all lifetimes using the Akashic records, so they can step fully into their power as entrepreneurs. Emily has beautifully combined her love and skills in business with her decades of energy work to powerfully guide lightworkers on how to run a profitable business. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and for that very warm welcome. I just love you.
Yay, I love you too. That's so great. Okay, so we're going to get right into our questions today. And I'm such a big fan of your work, and I've actually been able to catch a couple of your lives recently too, which has been really, really, really great. I find your work, and you're welcome, I find your work is just so super powerful, and I know that even on your free trainings, you provide like immense value, like I mentioned. So your tribe gets a lot from you. So can you tell me just a little bit about what inspires you to want to specifically help intuitives and healers to step into their power and charge prices that financially sustain them? So it's kind of a loaded question, but I know it's a big passion of yours.
It's everything. It's so, I guess I'll back up a little bit. So maybe 5 or so years ago, I was actually receiving a session. I was on the table and my guides came to me proudly and said, light workers be the light. And what that meant to me, what they showed me was, you got to get out there. You got to help people. If you're this light worker and you can do this amazing work, you need to get out there. You need to do this work and help others to do it boldly as well. And it's time to wave your freak flag. And for me, I was still in the closet. Like, I didn't call myself a psychic. I was like, yeah, I do this energy work, but I just do massage. Like, that's mainly
right.
And I had been charging like the same price for over 10, 15 years and, just not at all stepping into my power. And when I started to realize that I needed to do it for myself so that others could also benefit from it, so that they could start, because there's honestly, the way I feel in my heart is that there are so many amazing healers out there and the world needs us.
Agree. It's time.
Right? And we need this healing to be out there. We cannot sit there, charging like low Walmart industry rates and expect that we're going to be changing people's lives.
Yeah.
We just can't. And the more that we're able to realize that and see our value and see how our work transforms people's lives and articulate that, the more we can just serve at higher levels, and the higher levels we serve at, the more we can raise our prices. The more we raise our prices, the more people we attract that are ready for significant change. And the more people who are ready for significant change, the world is getting brighter and better. It's like, that's it.
That's it. Exactly. Oh, I love this so much. And there's such a correlation too that, okay, we're going to get into so many things. Okay. I don't want to jump the gun on this. Okay. Okay, so let's kind of get it down to a practical level here. What advice would you give to those who are really struggling with raising their prices as a healer and intuitive?
There's so much advice. I think it's very individual, but I mean, you do work in the Akashic records, you do lifetime stuff. So you see these vows of poverty that so many of us healers have sort of signed, these declarations like, you know what, if you're going to do this work, you either have to be in hiding to avoid major crisis and death and damnation and being ostracized from your family, your tribe, or if you are doing it, you have no right to charge money for it.
It's true. Those beliefs, they're just rampant in the community. So
yeah. So I guess my first piece of advice would be to get some deeper work done. And people who are trained in doing deeper work through all lifetimes and through this deeper energy field is where you have to start. If you're not ready to work on yourself, you are not going to be an open, clear channel to deliver higher vibrations to other people.
Exactly. To move up to your next level too. Like, it's not just about charging prices to get more dollar bills, which is a fantastic thing to do, but it's also about up leveling yourself too. Yeah. Like, it's it's a huge step in self-worth and self-acceptance too.
Huge. And really, so I correlate making more money equals helping more people.
Yes.
And sometimes healers get caught up in, it's not spiritual to make more money. And I think that's BS. I really do, because when you are, and so I used to use Gabby Bernstein as like my North Star, like,
yeah.
She's everywhere. She's, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times New York Times bestseller. She speaks to these huge global audiences. She's got decks of cards. She's kind of got a little meditations. And it's like, okay, so how can she serve at that level but not make any money? And she can't pay her rent, and she can't buy clothes, and she can't put food on the table. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Like when you look at it from somebody else, like you look outside of yourself, like that doesn't make sense. How can she teach me how to do these things if she's totally not doing it herself and she's not receiving anything in return? And energy, or I should say, when you're ready to bring in higher levels of energy, you're ready to make more money, because money is just energy. If you're ready, it means you need to do the deeper work. You need to kind of see the things that you don't want to see. And I've actually had a lot of conversations this past week about energetic up-leveling. And and actually I think you posted something on Instagram about that too this week. We're always in alignment.
I know.
And it's like, you want to be a millionaire. You want to be the next Gabby Bernstein, but you don't realize that the internal work, it shows up in really crazy ways.
Exactly. Yes. Oh man, I agree with that 1,000%.
Right? Like it just shows up, like your back goes out, or like your car breaks down. We'll talk about the car thing later.
Yeah.
Like it just shows up in funny ways where you're like, I'm not supposed to do this. And people can use it as a cop out and be like, oh, well, it's not my path. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So the keys are really here. Your mindset is super key. Realizing that charging higher prices, I almost want to shy away from the term charging your worth, because it's kind of a tricky thing there, because your worth is so expansive and kind of ever going. It's just kind of like expanding and spiraling. It's tricky to put a price on the worth, but it's putting an energetic price tag on your work in direct correlation to the transformation you provide. So I made it a little crazy there, but I know you're following with me.
Totally. You do work. So like your guides are like, they show you this like giant expansive version of you, and you're like, really? Is that
me? Exactly. It's kind of just like, oh my God.
Like I'm just this little thing. Like, how could you say that I'm going to change the world and do all these massive things? Like, what? Come on.
Exactly.
We don't even like, as a human, it's like, it's almost like wrong to realize our worth, like our universal worth. Like we're all these, I always joke like, yes, we're all these individual special little snowflakes, but we are all part of the same thing. So we're all God. We're all everything. So of course our value is tremendous. So we're the only ones stopping ourselves from thinking that we're worthy.
Always. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So key. And that's melting away. And this is what a lot of people are waking up to, is realizing that a lot of that old stuff is BS, and it's time to let that go. Okay. So coming back, recapping the question here. So they're struggling raising their prices. You mentioned mindset is a big one, making sure that you're feeling in alignment with actually charging higher prices and seeing the value that you're actually bringing. And number 2 is really getting into that deep work, really not just going into your conscious beliefs, going into subconscious past lives, and really working through the shadow side, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I think really, like, if you're channeling and you're using your intuition and your guidance system to bring in what your next offer is going to be, so it's in alignment with your highest self, and you go, okay, so maybe my last offer was $100 and now this is $300. Like, whoa, that's a big jump. So realizing that, what do I have to become? Who do I have to become? Or was there anything I need to let go of to step into that? And holding that alignment, knowing that that's true, so that when all this stuff comes up and your clients go, well, I can't afford it, you don't go, oh, and you sink down and you go, shoot, I shouldn't do this.
Yes. I know. And that's so much of what happens too, because it's this whole hierarchy of power that I've been seeing a lot, where people are putting other people's opinions above their own, that inner knowing. And especially these healers and intuitives, there's no excuse for that because you're tapped into your intuition. Yep. So you can feel that uncomfort, that, like you said, that sinking feeling whenever you're listening to somebody else above yourself. So time to put yourself back up there, because you're the only real one who knows, who knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. So what about so we're talking about these healers and intuitives. So what about these really seasoned healers and intuitives who are really feeling called to charge premium prices? So putting their prices up, like not just a little bit, but kind of a big jump, moving into more of this kind of, this almost luxury kind of energy area, I want to call it. So what can they do to start to make the leap? What's their move here?
That's a good question. I really go back to using your intuition, tapping into your highest self, your guidance system, to see what is ready to come through you. It's not you, it's what's coming through you. Yeah. And so let's say, I think one of the first things that I did start raising my rates last year incrementally, in a really strategic way, which we don't have time to go into, but I'd be happy to share maybe on another podcast. But when you start to increase your prices sort of strategically and slowly, whether it's like a 1-hour session or whatever you're doing, it gives you a chance to kind of catch up with the energy. Yes. But when you do things like go from selling a $100 session to $1,000 session, so that takes like a little bit of like guts, like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's say, so my first big jump was a retreat, and going from selling a 1-hour session to now selling an experience, a retreat. What I needed to do was first check in, like, what is this offer? Am I in alignment with it? Is there anything I need to do to stay in alignment with it? Who do I need to step up and become? Who is right for this program? And how do I become a magnet to attract them to me? So I'm asking all these questions like on a daily basis, so that I am always in alignment with that offer, because you're gonna get, one person who says yes, and then 10 people who say it's too much. Yes, exactly. and someone's like, well, I don't spend that kind of money on myself. And you feel like, oh gosh, who am I to even ask you? Like you can get really caught up in that spiral and the story of not enough. Yes. And then you have to go back into, but what is the experience that I'm being called to pull through me? And what are my dream clients praying for? And what's the experience that they really are in need of that has to come through me at this time, at this location? And going into what they need. I think I make it less about me and what I need, then I make it more about my soulmate clients. And there's somebody out there praying to get the heck out of Dodge, to be with women, to experience the kind of healing that only I can deliver them, and the group can deliver with each other collectively. And who am I not to do that? So yes, and that's another key. I love that point of view too, is when you're not kind of taking the time to consistently look within and do these things, come into alignment. Yeah, one of the outcomes is going to be more money, but another one too is that you're doing a disservice to the world by not doing the work that you're here to do. So taking the time to look into it and look into these things is so important. Yes, because really, like, it's not about me hosting a retreat. It's about the experience that other people are praying for. And exactly, there doesn't have to be hundreds of them necessarily, but maybe just 10 for this one particular thing. And when you stay into alignment with that and you realize this leap, like, it's not any harder to sell a $100 session as it is to sell a $1,000 offer. It's a mindset shift of, what's this experience and how do I attract this in a different way? Because ultimately people will fall out of the sky when you stay in alignment. Yes, it's all energy alignment. And that's the basis of what it seems, the things that you're talking about.
which is interesting because I know that you have a very strategic side too. So I find it interesting that we haven't even scratched the surface on that. For everybody listening, like we're only scratching the surface on what Emily is capable of here. So definitely go check her out in the show notes. Check out the links later so that you can be blown away a little more.
Thank you. Yes. And I mean, I do,
oh my goodness.
I do know that that's like, I'm talking a lot of like energy right now, and there is so much left brain strategy and how to step by step get this stuff done. But I think underneath the surface, it's all this energy stuff. And so for my left brain, like biz people who are all like, what are the steps for making a big leap to charging more prices, versus like the energy people who are like, I'm ready to do it, but I'm scared to do it. There's both things that go into it. So thank you for saying that. Like, it's not just this and it's not just that. It's everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, I think, where some people, it can be a little trickier. Some people are a lot more like really, really in this kind of more intuitive floaty state, and they need somebody to help them really get grounded. And some people are so grounded that they need somebody to pull them into the energetic side too, to create that balance. I find that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, moving right along here. And so this is probably, I'm feeling like people are going to have to go back and listen to this episode again to start to write down some of these things that you are mentioning. Okay, so here's a question that I ask all of my guests, and I love hearing the different answers that come out. Can you tell me a time when you created happiness alchemy in your life? So turn like a struggle or a challenge or fear into opportunity, growth, and love.
Yes, and I thank you for your help when we were chatting before this call. So I think one of the big ones was a car accident that I was in. I was actually, I had just left my nutritionist office, and I received this, oh my gosh, relaxing treatment, and I was feeling great, and I had my afternoon to myself. My son was at daycare. I was like, I'm gonna go take myself out to lunch today. This is a great day. And I pulled out on the street. I was like, wow, this is such a busy road. And literally looked down to make sure I had my directions up on my phone, which I did. And the second I looked down, a woman comes out from the like side, from a CVS, like a pharmacy. She pulls out in front of me. She must have gunned it because I was in the left lane. She came across 2 lanes to get to me. Came right across. I slammed my brakes on and I collided with her. And so I hit her right kind of in front of her driver's side tire. Both of our airbags went off. The front of my car smushed, which it was a pretty new car. Nothing wrong with it. And it was like we both got out. We both walked out. Like everybody was fine. It was so crazy though. We were shaking, and luckily my son wasn't with me again. But
yes,
it's like all this like smoke is in the air and it's crazy and your adrenaline is rushing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my car. And mind you, I had been planning, which you probably didn't even know this, I had been planning for months a surprise party for my husband, which was the following day. And that day, the day of my accident, I was surprising my husband and his family and their friends with flying his brother into town. So I got into this accident. I'm like, OMG, like his brother's going to be here in like 4 hours. I just like totaled my car. I couldn't even believe like the timing of everything and all the stuff that had to still get done. And I'm going off in the ambulance. I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, well, I was really relaxed, like an hour ago. I'm like, okay. And then I was laughing again because I always, I joke because I put a deposit on a Tesla, and they take years to like make and everything. And trailing the ambulance I was going to the hospital in is of course a Tesla. And I was like,
Tesla right there.
Right there. I was like cracking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. The sign from the universe. It's like, you're going to get a new car. Everybody was fine. The party actually went off without a hitch. I asked for help. People helped. It was fine. My body processed as it needed to. I did get a new car the following week. It was just a crazy time. And, as I was processing in my body, it was like I was in a car accident. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to plan the party. We're going to execute getting everything ready. And so on one level, I'm doing the right things. I'm going through the motions. And on the other level, I'm exhausted. Everything is starting to hurt. I need to process. I started doing EFT tapping. I did Epsom salt bath. I was praying with my crystals. I was energetically releasing the accident from my body and energetic system and releasing the connection with her. Like, I was doing so much energetic work on myself in this whole situation and thinking, wow, I'm so grateful that I have these tools that I can deal with this kind of trauma and process it through, whereas a lot of people don't. And it ends up staying in their body, in their energy. It comes up in other ways. It's like it takes a lot longer to heal. I mean, everyone from the ambulance people to the doctors at the ER to friends and family, they all said, oh, tomorrow it's going to be the worst day. You're going to feel really bad tomorrow. Everything is going to be terrible in the next couple days. And it wasn't.
No, because guess what? You listen to yourself above them.
Right. I mean, look, I was tired because I was processing. Everything was kind of moving through me. But I wasn't as sore. I mean, I had bruises. I saw my body, but it didn't affect me the way everybody was telling me. And I think we can hear those words of warning, like, oh, it's flu season. Like, it's like you can choose to go down that path and get into that energy of everything's going to hurt or you're going to be sick and it's going to be so bad or not. And, and I saw it as an awakening, and I saw it as an up-leveling because I really wanted to take my business this year, and like last year I had 10x it. This year I was like, hey, why not I 5x it, right? And part of that was driving a car that I felt really safe in because we're moving forward in the world in our car, right? And feeling a little bit luxurious because I totally got an upgrade. I was like, this is exactly what I was manifesting. Like, I don't think I needed to have an accident necessarily, but I guess I did. So
Oh, I love that. I love how your example, your happiness alchemy was something so physical that actually came into your life in order to kind of show you and teach you a couple of things. And that's the question I was going to ask you is, did you find you were at a time in your business where you were up leveling and things are kind of moving up a little bit?
Yes.
Like when that happened.
And I should say this because this answers your question as well. That day, we all say, what? There's no coincidences, right?
Right.
That day was the first group phone call of the new mastermind I had just joined and paid 30 grand for.
That's right. Yes.
So if that's not an up-leveling shift, I don't know what is. Like that, and I was on the Zoom call from the ER while I was waiting. I was like, okay, I don't want to alarm you guys. I'm okay. I just have a neck brace on. Everyone was like, oh my gosh. And I took a screenshot of everyone's faces after. But,
oh, that's hilarious. But what's interesting too is I've seen similar scenarios, and it seems like you had almost a light version of this, where I've seen a lot more serious versions of this, where people are really not listening to themselves, and then when they get in the accident, it's something that's going to put them down for a couple of weeks, that they're going to have to stay in bed and be forced to listen to themselves. Mm-hmm. So I find it really interesting that a lot of people get these awakenings where it's kind of like something physical jolts them in order to get them to kind of pay attention. And for you, it was a lot of like healing yourself and like really recognizing your brilliance and your gratitude for yourself. And so I just find that interesting how it came in kind of in a light way because you're not physically insured at all.
Right.
But I do know, and I want to say to like anybody listening too, if you do find things are happening that are kind of like putting you out, you're getting sick a lot or things like that, it's time to tune in because those things do not happen for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's this dope slap. Like you're getting these little light touches and these little whispers and these little breadcrumbs and you're like, yeah. And
I'll get to it.
Right. And then it's like, no, you need a dope slap. And part of that realization for me was that self-care, was that slowing down piece for me to just go inside and do some self-work, but also that worthiness of like, I belong. Mm-hmm. And I deserve, and like those are the message that were coming in loud and clear because that's what I was struggling with. Like, do I deserve to be here? Do I belong in this group? you know, can I really, 5X my business? Like I did it last year, 10X, but like, can I actually do it? Like all that self-doubt stuff. So that dope slap was exactly what needed me to just stop and listen again.
Exactly. And you brought up another really good point here too, is that even whenever your business is flourishing and you're kicking ass and taking names, whenever you go to that next level, it doesn't mean you're not going to hit these doubt blocks again, these same kind of blocks again. You're just hitting a deeper level of them.
We call it new level, new devil, right?
It totally is. Yeah, pretty well. But like, I mean, the thing is you can like make friends with the devil and then be like, bye, it's time for you to go.
Yes.
Yep. It's all good.
Yep.
All right. So Emily, tell me, what are you working on right now and super excited about, and where can listeners go to find you online?
So right now I'm actually sort of mid-launch of my flagship program, the Phoenix Mentorship. It's my big guy. It's a full year-long program. Study with me. You do a lot of deep work with a group, but also you get individual sessions with me, and I help to teach you how to soulfully scale your business using your intuition, all these left brain things, and every step of the way giving you that support while you are up leveling, while you're hitting these resistance blocks, and allowing it to be easier. And it's all about the energy of the tribe. And we are just about wrapping up the first session of it and opening up the next round. And it's a very select, very intimate group of 10 to 12 women, and it's this amazing community. And wrapping up one group and starting another, it's like the people who are wrapping up, they're so connected and so supportive of each other, and they love working with me in the collective. That actually one of the members is like, how about we do an alumni group that will pay you for a month, we'll just keep it going and you just show up once a month. I'm like, great. It's like things just show up and present themselves because we create these beautiful containers for growth and for supporting them. And so that's my long answer to a short question. So yes, the Phoenix Mentorship is the big thing I'm working on right now. I have a call next week. I don't know when this airs, but it probably be after when I do my call. But Facebook is always the best way to find me. I do a ton of Facebook Lives. I give a lot of free content away, meditations, clearings, blog posts,
psychic biz coaching,
every single week. Those are really fun. So if you ever catch me doing those, you get to ask a question. I channel for you or pull cards, and super duper fun. And it's like rapid fire, like speed dating, but with a psychic and getting your business questions answered.
Oh my goodness. I love it so much. Yeah. I encourage everybody, definitely check Emily out, and definitely check her out on Facebook and follow her, and like click that notification thing on her Facebook page so you see her stuff first, so that you're not missing it, because it is good stuff. It is so valuable. You're welcome. I totally think so. So Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It's such a pleasure. And I love doing anything with you. You're the best.
Yay. Thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in. Visit happinessalchemy.com for your free shamanic journey and to learn about the Happiness Alchemy Sacred Library. Have a magical day.